In this furnace, we have 200 ounces or 6 kilograms of pure refined gold. Now that gold is currently bubbling away in a liquid state, molten. It's sitting inside one of these. We call this a crucible, or a pot, if you like, a pot of gold. Now these are a mixture of clay and graphite. They have been designed specifically to withstand temperatures of up to 1600 degrees Celsius. Incredible temperatures. Now they cost the mint $110 to make each one of these pots. If we are very lucky, this pot will last for 2 weeks. Because after 2 weeks, they don't look like this anymore. They look like this. So you can see pretty clearly what this purpose-built material has done when exposed to that heat. It starts to crack and crumble. We lose the entire outer surface. Not ideal when you're pouring molten metal for something to fall apart on you. So after 2 weeks, we throw these away. Well, we actually do a few things first. So instead of just throwing them straight in the bin, we send them off to the refinery first, because after 2 weeks of use, the gold we've been pouring has started to stick. It starts to work its way into the material of these pots, into the cracks and crevices. We get all these lovely little gold nuggets being deposited. So we send these pots to the refinery for processing. They send us back around $200 up to $600 worth of gold from every pot. So it's definitely worth getting that done. So obviously, it's pretty hot in there. Now, this is a natural gas powered furnace, so it's a bit of an upgrade from the old days. We used to rely on coal and coke and cotton. These days it's nice and clean, nice and easy natural gas. And this furnace is kept at a constant temperature of around 1200 degrees Celsius. Very, very hot. Now, it's hotter than we need to melt gold. The melting point of gold is actually 1063.7 degrees, give or take. But the extra heat, up to 1200, will give me enough working time with my liquid gold to get it safely out of the furnace, across to the table, and gently poured into our mold before the gold has a chance to set solid again. Because the whole process, from liquid to solid, will happen in less than 1 minute. So it's a very small window of time to work in. When you have that small amount of time and that incredible heat, those things combined are quite frankly a recipe for disaster, which is why you end up dressed like me, not a fashion choice. So what we are looking at, we have steel-capped boots, spats on tape, on top keeps me safe from splashes. We have flame-retardant pants, flame-retardant shirt, flame-retardant cover on top of the shirt, apron on top of all that. Now this apron is 3 more layers of protection. So we have aluminium on the outside to reflect the heat away from me when I'm in front of that furnace. We have fine merino wool on the inside for insulation. And in between those 2 layers is a thin layer of Kevlar. Same stuff you'd find in a bulletproof vest or a firefighter's jacket. So we've done pretty well with all this gear. We also have big silver gloves, which are made of the same stuff that come up over the elbows, and a face shield on top of all that, because I really enjoy having a beard. So it's good stuff. We're pretty well protected. They haven't compromised on safety at all. They haven't compromised on history here either, because this room we are sitting in is the original melt house. It's been here since we started. Of course, back in the day we didn't have stadium seating. We also didn't have air conditioning. So the average daily temperature was around 55 degrees Celsius. This was not a nice place to be. Now back then we didn't just have 1 furnace, we had 15 along this wall. Pretty toasty. Now you can see where those furnaces were from the holes in this wall behind me. Those are the ventilation shafts going up to the ceiling. The furnaces themselves were taken out quite some time ago for a few different reasons. The main reason being because somebody suddenly realized if we were getting up to $600 worth of gold out of a pot that big, what do you think was being spilled in the furnaces over all those years? Just a little bit more? So we thought, you know what, well, check it out. When this place closed down, we took all the furnaces out, piece by piece, sent the whole lot off to the refinery for processing. Turned out to be a really good idea. They sent us back $250,000 worth of gold. So I guess we did all right. Anyway, enough talk about the walls. We're here for this pour. I'll stop blathering on. Before I get started, I will quickly walk you guys through the process so we're all on the same page. Because once that visor comes down in front of my face, good luck understanding a word I have to say. So, safety gear first. Next step is turning off the furnace. Third step is opening the furnace. That's pretty easy. This bar heavily reinforced, giving me more leverage so I can slowly and carefully pour the gold. I'll do my very best not to spill it. Then the empty crucible goes back into the furnace out of my way, and at that point, the really hot stuff is already done. So I'll take off the big gloves and the visor. I'll swap to basic leather gloves just to protect my hands. Grab my tray here, and by now we are 1 minute in. So the gold bar is already completely solid the whole way through. I can tip that straight out onto my tray, bring the whole lot over to the quenching tank. Now that sounds pretty fancy, but in reality it's just a big square bucket full of room temperature tap water. But that will be more than enough to cool that gold down from around 1000 degrees Celsius down to around 10 degrees. So it's now safe to touch after about 20 seconds. So I'll dry off our new gold bar over here, bring the lights back up, and it's time for show and tell. Pretty easy. Everyone following along, alright? Yeah, bit of nodding going on, probably because I'm nodding. Alright. Bit of mood lighting first. Who said romance was dead? So by the time I get these gloves on, the gold bar is already solid. It is a very fast process, start to finish, which is good. Makes this bit relatively easy. And there it is, just like that. Piping hot, fresh gold. Now at this stage, we're not too worried about security, for obvious reasons. You could try and run off with it. Look, I'd probably wait. It is a little warm at this point. Still around 900 degrees roughly. We can fix that pretty quickly though. And there it is, just like that. Now at this stage the bar is still around 300 degrees Celsius, so I won't touch it just yet. But believe it or not, that piece of gold in there is the exact same piece of gold that we have been melting down and reforming into a bar 7 times every day, 49 times every week since 1993. So it's a pretty good vintage. We've done this demonstration with that same piece of gold over 60,000 times at this point. Not too shabby at all. Now in that whole time, the gold hasn't lost or gained any purity whatsoever. So it's just as pure today as it was in the 90s. We have lost weight, mainly from what leaches into our crucible pots, and we do have the occasional small spill. We think in that whole time it's been estimated that we've lost the entire bar's weight at least once, maybe even twice. But we do get that gold back eventually because waste not, want not with this stuff. Back in the pot it goes to be repeated over and over again. Now at this stage, if I'm very lucky, it should be nice and cool to touch. Let's find out together, shall we? We good. There it is. Okay. Here in my hot little hand is 200 troy ounces or 6 kilograms of pure gold. Now based on today's gold price, and the reason I won't be passing it around, is because this is worth between $350,000 and $400,000 today. This is not too bad for 5 minutes of my time, quite frankly. Now that price tag is the reason why we have over 100 security cameras in this part of the facility alone. That's also why we have a security guard pacing up and down in the hallway while we do these demonstrations, keeping an eye on me, mostly keeping an eye on you guys, just in case anyone's feeling a bit grabby. So you have it once again. Now, even if you could get this gold out of the mint, you wouldn't get much for it because it isn't finished yet. Now, a fully finished piece of gold looks a bit different for a few reasons. First off, we don't cool it down by putting it in a bucket of water. We let it cool off naturally, retaining a nice smooth surface. So it'll be much shinier than this. Second of all, it's missing all of its stamps. A fully finished bar of gold from the mint is going to have the Perth Mint stamp on it, the swan, the serial number for the individual bar, the weight of that bar, and the assay, or purity level of the gold. Without all that information on the surface, we know it's not finished, and you can't legally sell it in that state. Now, if you want to see some bars that do have those markings, directly across here through the door, you'll see a vault. In that vault is an entire stack of gold bars on the far wall. They're all real, totally real. If you're doing the quiz, you may need to count those, hint, hint. They're all fully stamped and ready to go. There's also a single bar in there in its own little room you can try and pick up with your bare hands. I hope you've had a good breakfast though, because it is pretty heavy. It's twice the size of this, 12.5 kilograms. It's also twice the price. Feels very nice in the hand. Now we don't bother marking this one because it's going back into that pot. It'll take between 15 and 20 minutes roughly to completely melt this down. Then the next hour we'll do the whole thing again. So if you've really enjoyed yourselves, come back in an hour. Watch me repeat myself. And otherwise, at this stage, congratulations. You can head through the tour in one piece. Nothing caught on fire. I call that a win. So, head back through the gallery at your own speed. There's plenty to see. Lift up some gold. Find out your own gold weight and price. You can do that on the scales just outside. We have souvenirs. You can check out the main factory. We even have some Olympic medals on display that you can have a look at down the far end on the left. If you have any questions, obviously you can wait back for me now or outside. But otherwise, thank you very much for coming in.